Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and CA just released another Let's Play. They are going to town on this. This is going to be the Chaos Warriors versus the Empire, and by covering Chaos Warriors, this is going to be essentially wrapping it up in terms of the main playable factions from the campaign. And jumping right into this, the Chaos Wastes look absolutely stunning. The high fantasy definitely showing itself. I love... Well, this is kind of like what we saw at Blackfire Pass, to be honest, but definitely the variety of terrain is going to be a godsend compared to previous Total War titles. It looks beautiful, and this centerpiece of the map, this column of gold here with the swirling magic around it, is going to be really, really awesome. And this is the infusion of the lore direct into the map itself. Now, the rest of the map is flat, so we're still going to be dealing with that, but these highlights on the map are incredible. So definitely from a visual perspective, this is going to be an indication that things are continuing to go in the right direction. This looks freaking great. And then we get a glimpse, or not a glimpse, we get a full look at all the armies facing off against one another. The battle itself is really interesting to watch, but in this video we're just going to be diving into the units and the stats themselves. So first one is going to be this Chaos War Chariot, and geez, these things are decked out. Spikes everywhere, skulls everywhere as well. And I just wanted to pull up some of the stats. So this Chaos Chariot here has a charge bonus of 76. We see a little bit of gameplay of them just wrecking a unit. Their charge is incredible. Compare that to Reiksguard, which only has a 60 charge. This Chariot hits like a train. I was only able to catch a snippet of their stats when they were rather low in health, so I'm not sure what the total health of the Chariot is. I'd assume it's rather beefy. Leadership is also not super representative of what it should be because of when I snapped that image. The next one is going to be the Chaos Knights, which look, again, just super, super great. The metal is, again, spiky skulls everywhere, and they're really bringing this to life, and especially I love the added little effects of the flames under the hooves coming off of the tips of the swords on the shields, and take a look at how there's like a dagger coming out of the front of the horses. Comparing their stats, the Chaos Knights have comparable health to Reiksguard and Black Knights. Orc War Boys are a bit lower. Armor for the Reiksguard is the same as Chaos Knights. Black Knights are lower. Orc War Boys are lower. Charge bonus is not super high for the Chaos Knights. That's going to be going to the Reiksguard. And the Chaos Knights have actually the highest leadership of all the cavalry. Pretty high speed, although not as high as the Black Knights. But melee attack is going to be some of the highest in melee defense. So these guys are okay on the charge, but once they get stuck in it, they have high health, high attack, high melee defense. Weapon strength also being the same as the other high tier cav. So these guys, and I think that's going to be basically the focus of Chaos, is getting in and being really, really tough once you're stuck in the thick of it. Compare that to the Orc Boar Boys. Orc Boar Boys are way more fragile, apparently. Then we start to see some of the footmen. So these first troops look really funny. Just because they're dressed like this in the cold. It looked a little goofy, and you see Mr. T there with the mohawk in the center. Some of the character models here I felt could be a little bit more gruesome, but again, I say that while they're wearing skulls on their sides. And then you rank up, these are going to be more of the Chaos Warriors. So these are guys who are not just raiders, these are Chaos Warriors who've started to really embrace the Chaos Gods and get favor of them. Look at that guy on the right, he has dismembered hands around his belt. I hadn't noticed that before, so geez, these guys are gruesome, and the blood and gore is going to be incredible once we get that little bit added. Then ranking up further, you have Chaos Chosen, the swords, again having the flaming effect on them, high gore on these guys, skulls on top of their helmets, and then finally the top of the ladder for these is going to be the Chaos Chosen with great weapons. These guys have no shield but have these massive like hammers with almost like sledgehammers, but that are going to chop you in half. So these guys are so freaking brutal. Man, the Chaos Warriors are incredible to look at. And in terms of stats here, they are lined up, kind of progressing up in the tiers. So armor goes from 15 to 100 to 115. So that is very, very high for units. So Chaos is going to be incredibly high in terms of armor. Leadership goes all the way up to 83. Chaos Marauders are going to be pretty much crap. But once you get even to the Chosen and Chosen with great weapons, it's going to be ridiculous. Not super high charge bonus, but melee attack is going to be around 50 and 40. Leadership is going to go up to the 60s and even 80s, which is freaking crazy. I think the Chosen with great weapons are going to be some of the best melee infantry in the game. They come with 80 men to their unit, so now I swap out some of the other units. Compare that to Longbeards, who have an armor of 90. That's lower than the Chosen with great weapons. Chosen with great weapons have the highest armor of all these units, so that's compared to Longbeards, Great Swords, and Graveguard. They have the highest leadership. They have, let's see, the highest melee attack by far, almost doubling their competitors. Melee defense is slightly higher. Weapon strength is the highest, and then charge bonus is the highest as well. So definitely it looks like Chosen with great weapons are going to be the end-all be-all of infantry, although they only have 80 men. Compare that to Graveguard with 120, so there is a balancing there, and that is very similar to the tabletop. You take a look at this unit, and again, just the attention to detail is so great. This is going to be obviously a Chaos Giant. Pulled up the stats for this guy. He has ludicrous health. Leadership, this guy is not going to really break. Weapon strength 598, although they do end up taking him out with the Luminarch of Hysh. So I wanted to make sure we showed that here. So the missile damage on the Luminarch is 1050 with a range of 300. So he is definitely going to be used to snipe at big value targets like that Giant. Then we get to see the Hell Cannon, which is grotesque. It's got blobs of flesh in the back. It fires souls. Fire effects is really cool. I was blown away by the attention to detail for all these units. And then they have the Chaos Dwarves kind of manning it. Compared to other artillery, it has the highest missile damage at 390. That's compared to the Hellblaster Volley Gun at 262, a Dwarf Grudge Thrower at 134. It looks like the Hell Cannon range is 400, so not as high as the 450 range of the Hellstorm Rocket Battery, but exceeding the rest, or the Grudge Thrower actually shoots further than it. It has low ammo, however, only 22. So that's going to definitely balance it. So that's interesting to see the pros and cons here. If you want a lot of ammo, Hellblaster Volley Gun with low range, that's what you want to do to destroy units close combat. But the Hell Cannon is a nice long-range, heavy damage thing to supplement Chaos Warriors, who are going to be, they don't really have much range. They're waiting to get into the thick of it, so the Hell Cannon's good to get units from far away. And then here we get a brief glimpse of Archon chasing down the Celestial Wizard. So that was we didn't get to see too much of him, but I thought that was a funny moment in the video. In terms of stats, this guy actually doesn't have the armor of Kun the Scarred, which is a greenskin warlord that we saw, or war boss that we saw in a separate video. Pound for pound against Karl Franz, he has the same armor. Leadership, however, for Archon, the Ever-Chosen, is the highest out of all of them. He's rather slow, although his melee attack is double that of those other forces, which is crazy. 80 plus. It looks like he has a little ability next to it, which is, I assume, going to be some magical ability. Melee defense is 64, again much higher than any of his peers. Charge bonus 54, pretty high, not as high as Karl Franz, but that's probably due to the flying monster. And if you look at the bottom of each unit card, you can see the abilities. Archon is decked out with abilities. Next here we get to see this is one of the new Empire Wizards who's flying on a Pegasus, so it's the Light Wizard. We saw a Celestial Wizard previously. He was the one who was getting chased down by Archon. But the Light Wizard compared to Celestial Wizard, stat-wise, they're pretty much the same, although the Light Wizard, it says here, has high speed, so he's good at running around. Well, I guess that's why he's on the Pegasus, so much more mobile. In terms of stats or abilities, he has this one net of Aminotok, which freezes units for 10 seconds, which is going to be great for multiplayer. I can see that working itself out. Whereas the Celestial Wizard, no, we moved on. But the Celestial Wizard had kind of Comet of Cassandora and stuff like that. Then comparing other wizard stat lines, we have the Chaos Sorcerer, metal apparently, so you have different sorcerers. He has much higher armor. That's going to be, and he's really good at weapon strength too, 258. Pretty good. Balthazar Gelt, I just threw him in here for comparison, has almost no armor in comparison. So the Chaos Warriors and everyone basically having some of the highest armor in the game, it seems, and pretty good melee attack and melee defense stats. Fay LaFay, who we saw briefly from Bretonia, is pretty good as well. And then finally, there were a couple extra units here towards the end. Chaos Trolls, although I wasn't able to grab any stats on these guys, so they're still going to be somewhat of a mystery. See, I just didn't seem to mouse over them, so I couldn't snip their stat line. But again, attention to detail looks phenomenal. These guys super scary. and you see them in the video kind of scratching their bum holes, which I thought was really funny because they have apparently ticks. Then you see some of these fast, nimble Chaos Hounds, pretty similar, I thought, or I figured, to what we saw for the Undead Hounds, for the Vampire Counts. But these guys they have scales, so there's two variants, one with scales that are better. They're more resilient to missile damage. These guys, on the other hand, are kind of more venomous, so they can do more deleterious effects on your unit abilities. So this is very cool. Most of the Chaos guys are very slow and meaty and heavy, but then you have these fast, nimble troops to get around the flanks, so obviously that's going to be a good counterbalance. Anyways, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. See you in the next one.